Welcome back, everybody. Looks like we are in the final patch leading up to TI of 2025. We've got our 7.39D. No, it is not 7.40. This massive patch that all of you were probably dreaming for, but that's not Valve's style. We expected little to nothing, and we got something. So that is a win. So today we're doing it classic style with BSJ here, where we're just going to be live reviewing the patch notes, because I actually haven't been home. I was at events for like the last 3 patches that got released. So I'm excited to just be here with you guys, reading it and evaluating what we think the meta is going to be going into TI based on the implications, I would say, namely of the item changes that I'm seeing in this patch, but no spoilers. Let's go ahead, get into it. Increased spawn boxes of Triangle Ancient Camps. Huge. Fixed a ward spot in Radiant Safe Lane Hard Camp. So there was kind of like this cheesy ward spot that was really hard to de-ward unless you had like multiple tangos. So I actually like that they got rid of that. Removed several trees from the inside corner of the Dire Safe Lane Small Camp. Big change, big implications. One of the biggest changes of all time. Don't even ask me because it's so hard to implicate the changes. Item changes. Blade Mail, which was the most broken item of last patch, 100%. Heralds were right all along, by the way. Like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, every time I was in a losing game, my viewers would say, buy a Blade Mail. And I said, why? Why buy a Blade Mail? And they were right. Blade Mail was clearly broken because it hadn't been buffed in some time, and yet it was getting bought every single game. I would like to attribute that likely to the chipped vest component, because what Blade Mail offers you is a passive farming tool by having creeps attacking you. I almost treated it like it was like a miniature Radiance, because you're doing damage in an AoE to creeps that are attacking you. It's obviously not nearly as good, but the idea is it's a cheaper item that also has fight impact, and it also did that. And I think that's why a lot of offlaners, even some mids, were feeling really comfortable rushing this item, because if you combined it with chipped vest, you actually farmed really fast on like pretty much any offlaner that bought this. What they did, though, was that they nerfed, yeah, the bonus damage is something, but the big nerf is that the passive component of Blade Mail, which was actually helping you farm, as well as just when somebody right-clicked you, like say you're an average carry and I have 100 damage by the time the offlaner has Blade Mail. That seems reasonable. Even if he doesn't activate the Blade Mail, I'm taking 20 damage plus 20% of 100. I'm taking 40 damage every time I attack this guy, which is like pretty insane, especially for like ranged heroes that don't have as much survivability as a lot of these offlaners do. And now you would only be doing 25 damage to yourself. So effectively it is a sizable nerf in the early game, but mid to late game you won't notice it very much. The heroes that I think are predominantly affected by this are ones that utilize Blade Mail to farm. So heroes that already farm really fast, I think are pretty much going to be the same. So example would be, I think Axe got affected less by this than Legion, for instance. Both of these heroes are like the staple Blade Mail buyers. Axe has spin to win, really fast innate farming tool, while Legion does not. So I think that it's going to heavily affect heroes that relied on the farm of the Blade Mail. Otherwise, it's just going to be kind of a slight buff to trading with them outside of fighting. But I feel like that's the main component that they're targeting here with the Blade Mail, is the farming speed. Dragonlance. So then my next thought was, okay, if you have all these melee guys that can't buy Blade Mails anymore, then the heroes we were already kind of seeing in the last patch, like the Shadow Fiends and the Nature's Prophets, a lot of ranged carries, those are probably going to be better now because they are more countered by Blade Mail than heroes like Ursa or Lifestealer. So I guess that's why they decided to nerf Dragonlance and Hurricane Pike slightly. Glimmer Cape, I feel like catching some strays. I don't like the item. Like, I never liked the item because I'm a core player that just wants the supports to die very easily. But really strange nerf there. Heaven's Halberd was an item that we virtually never saw ever since they made the build-up worse after the initial changes to it. But I think we're still basically never going to see it. I'd be surprised if this changes anything. Maelstrom and Mjolnir no longer dealing bonus damage to illusions. I would just like to give a shout out to my boy Phantom Lancer, because out of all the illusion heroes, like, sure, Mjolnir was good against all of them, but it was by far the best against PL, because you have like 11 units attacking the Mjolnir target that's proccing the Mjolnir and all that. So the fact that they nerfed this, which seems a bit out of left field, but Maelstrom was a very popular carry item. I wouldn't say it was like significantly more popular than the other carry items, but Shout out to my boy Phantom Lancer. I thought he was already on the up and coming, and now this is a pretty big buff to him, I would say. What I'm really surprised about all these items is that there's no Radiance nerf. I'm really surprised about that, to be honest with you. Mask of Madness, nerfed by 10 attack speed. Not really sure why. Shadow Fiend and maybe Sven were like the only heroes in the meta buying Mask of Madness. And I don't think they were like particularly broken or anything. I mean, SF was really strong and Sven was viable, but I don't think they were broken because of Mask of Madness. I don't think the item deserved targeting. What about our boy like Faceless Void? You know, just catching strays from these indirect nerfs. Octarine Core. I've been saying it for a while. This item is like conceptually just really busted because it speeds up your farm, gives you some survivability, mana regen so you can spam spells, lower cooldown on all your items like BKB and stuff like this, Shivas. Basically in Pro Dota, people were starting to pick it up earlier and earlier, just as a way when the game like slowed down. It's an item that buffs up every aspect of your game. You can fight more often, you can farm easily, and spam more spells. So not too surprised that this received a minor nerf. Pavis, you know, I don't know, whatever this is pronounced as, nerfed or buffed, excuse me, to be 60 mana. Will it change much? Not sure. Phylactery and Conda getting another 1 second cooldown buff. I believe it used to be like 12 or 15, like right when this item came out. I'd be curious about the patch history ever since this has been reworked, but I still think the item's bad. Most games. Witchblade and Parasmo receiving a little bit of a nerf in terms of the armor. Witchblade and Blade Mail were probably the best mid-game items on any of like the active heroes. Puck was like the best Witchblade user in the game, I would say. I can't think of which other heroes would be using Witchblade. If you guys know which ones they are, please let me know in the comments. Neutral item changes. We've got Sister Shroud deleted. No, it's not deleted. It's just now 150% evasion, and then it lasts for 5 seconds instead of 8. Honestly, I feel like this item could just be accepted as a failed experiment. I feel like they should have just removed it, but significant nerf nonetheless. Gale Guard, if we look at this game in like 7.45, Gale Guard is going to do 25 damage reduction. Because I think when it initially came out, it was 400. Then it was 275. Then it was 250. And now it's 225. Units can no longer attack buildings. Cool. Okay. Yeah, I like these nerfs. I think the regen ones were a little bit too strong. I felt myself taking them a lot. I don't mind the slight nerfs, especially in like the early game to the mana regen one. Abaddon. That's a minor nerf, not a big deal. Every shield I think lasts for like 14 seconds. Or is it 12 seconds because they nerfed it? Let's see. His shield lasts for 12 seconds, so he's losing 24 HP. Assuming that the Aphotic Shield lasts the entire duration. Axe. So we talked about Blade Mail affecting a lot of these heroes. Axe, I think, got the least affected out of all the Blade Mail heroes because the active of Blade Mail didn't get changed too much, and passive component of Blade Mail wasn't all that important for Axe to farm with. But Berserker's Call, a little bit more mana, and kill armor bonus decreased massively, actually. Okay. I didn't realize it was 20 at level 1. I played a lot of Axe this patch, and I did not realize how large that armor buff was. So definitely a necessary nerf. Okay. I think Axe is still going to be very good, to be honest with you. Maybe you just won't see, like, naked Blade Mail rushes anymore. Batrider, nerfs to stats, base damage. Okay. We've talked about him in my meta updates. He's a very strong 4 position. Makes sense that they would nerf him. Aghanim Scepter heal on pure damage dealt increased by 5%. So it's effectively increasing it by 16% because 35% of 30 is 1 out of 6, you know, math. And then Bloodrite damage by 10. It is more than 10 because you're amping your spell damage, so it's more like 13. Big wins. Bounty Hunter, ally bonus gold up by 10 every level. Probably relevant, I would say, especially the level 1 buff. That's pretty significant. Crystal Maiden, big wins. 5 damage on level 1 ulti, 10 damage on level 2 ulti. Huge. Honestly, she might actually be good because a lot of the popular 5s got nerfed. Dark Willow can no longer target, or allies can no longer target her while this is active. I didn't even know that was possible. I think they buffed that at some point because I don't think it used to be like that. Dawnbreaker, one of the menaces of 7.39C. They nerfed her facet by about 20, and then they nerfed the talent on Solar Guardian cooldown. Definitely necessary. It felt like there was never a window to actually punish Solar Guardian being on cooldown, which is just not fun. Like, when you have a hero that has, like, an insanely impactful ultimate and you can't fight between the window that they have it just feels really bad. I think this plus the Blade Mail nerf is pretty, it adds up a lot on Dawn. I will say that I think heroes like Dawn will still get played, and she probably just will go Blade Mail less often. We were seeing a lot of pros go for like Vlad's instead of Blade Mail. Sometimes they were just going straight Ags instead of Blade Mail. So I think items like that, builds like that will come into favor more. Maybe Echo Saber, but I don't think it's been that great on Dawn. Dazzle, duration decreased by 2 seconds on Weave. I feel like Weave's one of those abilities, these innates, that had a lot of impact in the laning phase, especially. It has impact later as well, but in the laning stage especially, because this is a hero that I would say is similar to Disruptor in the sense that he's conceptually broken, but some patches you just can't make him work in the lane. But if he's allowed to get out of the lane, he's like really strong. So it felt like this Weave was winning people lanes. I remember watching Seb stream and him talking about how much armor this was and like how obnoxious it was for winning lanes. And I'll just say that this seems small, but to me, it's probably bigger than it seems. Mana cost on Shadow Wave significantly increased. That's a nice nerf as well. So Dazzle was quite a menace as well. Good to see him nerfed. Doom with the Devour nerf. Okay. Earth Spirit got effectively 3 base damage. I do like that not all heroes have like freaking 10 damage variants. It's actually really hard to CS. This buffs him pretty significantly as a core. Is it enough? I don't know. I was seeing people already experimenting with Earth Spirit offlane, but I don't think that. I think maybe mid, and honestly, maybe support. Probably not a top tier support, but giving a hero like this 3 base damage while nerfing other supports, it can add up a lot. Ember Spirit, Searing Chains. I feel like people on Ember Spirit was another hero that significantly benefited from Blade Mail because yeah, he just pops Flame Guard, uses his remnants to effectively chain you, and then just runs at you with Blade Mail. So these heroes that just kind of have some sort of slow or root and then just ran at you, and maybe they had a spell that helped them run at you. It's like Axe battle hungers you, Dawn hammers on top of you, Quap blinks on you, Ember runs at you with Searing Chains. These heroes that like forced you to fight them and then had Blade Mails were like really obnoxious last patch. So I think heroes like Ember will be much weaker, especially in competitive. It's not that you can't go other items, but it just, you know, the best build on the hero is nerf. Maybe people will just find something better, you know, maybe they'll go back to the Mage Slayer or something like this. Enchantress, I actually don't know what this means. If the enemy is a creep, she brings it under her control and receives... Oh, I see. I didn't know that that's how it worked. Okay, a little bit of a buff to Enchantress. 5 seconds on Chronosphere. We're back. Time lock level 1, mainly. It's like 6420. So if you have 12% chance, which is approximately 1 out of 8, and you give him 6 extra damage, then this means that when I level Time Lock, I have an average of 0.75 damage per hit. So this is Valve's roundabout way of saying, here's 1 base damage that you then lose later on in the game, because you just goes back to normal. Phantom's Embrace, slightly lower cooldown, longer stun duration on Inkswell level 1. That's kind of significant. 0.3 on like a level 1 spell. That's nice. Io Spirits cooldown. Okay. Probably still not a good hero. I feel like maybe Io will rise in stock because a lot of these other healing supports, like Oracle had its patch in the limelight. Then we had Dazzle. Maybe Io now with Dazzle getting nerfed. Maybe. You know, heal supports always have a place if you can make them work. Tidebringer. Sorry, Kunkka. You lost a bit of your cleavage, sir. 75 range on that max level. Eclipse on Luna. Lower cooldown. So now your Eclipse with the level 15 talent is 65 seconds. You know, eventually it has to add up. There has to be like a Manta, like Ags Octarine build in here. There has to be. The thing is, it really sucks against summons heroes and illusion heroes, right? Because then the summons and illusions just soak it up. But I think I'm going to try something with this because I feel like this is adding up a lot. You know, Eclipse has consistently received... I feel like... Hasn't this received a bunch of... I feel like Eclipse has been getting buffed a lot. Yeah, cooldown reduced from 140, 130, 120 to 110, and now it's 105 at all levels. So it used to be 140 at all levels, then it got reduced to this, then it got reduced to this, and now it's 105. You have to think about it. Now it's 65 seconds. So if I go Octarine Core, it's a 48-second ultimate. That's pretty wild. 48 seconds. And then you're also getting lower cooldown Manta, which helps you push waves. I'm going to try it. It's probably bad, but I'm going to try it. I love Luna. She's one of my faves. Mirana, maximum bonus damage. Awesome. Monkey King, changing of the guard, slight nerf on the facet, and then a slight nerf on the Boundless Strike Aghanim Shard. It's a very strong shard. It effectively gives him an uncancelable blink. Yeah, it's like his stun that he has to use, but very strong shards nonetheless, I think. Naga Siren, duration. I feel like I haven't seen this hero very much at all, but she's also just not picked in pub. She's much more of a pro Dota hero, so that's kind of fine. Reducing the radius on early levels of song. I think Naga will probably not see nearly as much play in competitive with this sort of thing, because like her laning stage is going to be much weaker with an entire second coming off of Deluge level 1. Nature's Prophet. This is a hero we are excited to see nerfed. For people out there that don't know this, Nature's Prophet has one of the highest stat gains in all of Dota. Like, if we just look at this hero stat gains, he has 3.5, used to have 3.2 and 2.6. Like, if you add these three together, it's like some of the highest stat gain in all of Dota. Then they made him a universal hero, which benefits more from stats. Now he's a carry, right? So, but the thing is, he was being played in pretty much every role, mainly 4, 5, and 1, because support natures just had a lot of impact naturally, keeping around the map, healing his team. But now they significantly nerfed the healing. The biggest thing to note is that you still get double tangos from Sprout in lane. And I think as a carry, the main component of this hero in lane was that. Now, I did notice when I was playing it that you do rely on the sustain in the jungle a little bit. Like, you sprout the jungle camp, and as a ranged hero, you don't mind taking some damage. So them nerfing this affects carry as well. But I'd say this namely addresses, like, no more 5-manning around support Nature's Prophet, who just, like, has a mech every 9 seconds or whatever. And then they also reduce Sprout damage at max level. So I think Nature's Prophet will still see play as carry. But I don't think he's, like, first pickable anymore. I don't think he's actually broken anymore. He's probably, like, B tier. He's probably, like, solid. He's above average, but he's not broken, I would say. I might be wrong. Necrophos, health regen per kill slightly increased. Ghost Shroud radius reduced. I mean, I love myself some Necro, but this hero hasn't been good for a while. Maybe we can make him work. They didn't nerf Radiance. I'm going to keep an eye out for Necrophos. The laning stage buff is kind of nice. Every CS you get is an extra 4 health. So for me, I'll have an extra 40 health at minute 10. That's awesome. Nyx, 20 impale damage. Okay, that's kind of nice. Probably still bad. Dude, Pango, if you look at his last, like, 15 patches, what happens to Pango is he gets nerfed 12 patches in a row, and then there's, like, they're like, oh, wait, we made him too bad. And then they buff him massively, and then they nerf him 12 patches in a row. That's just the history of Pangolier. His stonks are like, you know what I mean? Phantom Assassin. Blur. Okay, probably still a bad carry. Primal Beast was being seen a lot in competitive towards the end of EWC, and I think he's going to be seen a lot of TI. I was already having fun with him in pubs. I think this hero is really strong. He was okay at buying Blade Mail, but honestly, a lot of people just weren't buying Blade Mail on him. They were just going like BKB Blink, and then maybe like one mid-tier item and a refresher. And I think that build is still amazingly good. So I think Primal Beast is going to be a menace. I'm going to be playing him a lot. I think he's very strong mid and off lane. Puck agility gain, slight nerf. Huge nerf to Puck. That plus the Witchblade, I guess. Maybe this is just meant to be like, okay, if you catch the Puck, she dies. Because by level 25, she has 1 less armor because of this. And by Witchblade, she'll have 2 less armor at level 25. That's pretty hype. Queen of Pain. Range for max lifesteal decreased. So this means that you have to be literally point blank range to her for her to get the max lifesteal. Like, you have to be melee range attacking her. So it's a sizable nerf, I would say, because it decreases the amount of lifesteal that you're getting anywhere between 150 to 800, right? Because the way the linear scaling works, if you don't understand what I mean, you can try to figure it out and read it. Sand King, base strength increased by 1. Radius, girth, massive girthage, increased by 50. I mean, this hero is always about how big is the girth of his storm. You know what I mean? And if it's girthy enough, then he's OP. If it's not girthy enough, then he sucks. Is an extra 50 radius enough girth? I don't think so. I'm going to lean with no. Shadow Demon. Cast range by 25. Honestly relevant. It's not something we'll ever notice, but it's nice. If I ever get caught by this guy when I think I should have gotten out, I'm going to blame this, though. So I have an excuse now. That's good. Shadow Fiend, armor reduced by 1. Huge. Armor reduction by 1 at all. Okay, honestly, this adds up a lot. He has 1 less armor. You have 1 more armor. His Mask of Madness gives him 10 less attack speed. His Dragonlance gives him 10 less range. I'm sure Shadow Fiend got sizably hit by all these small nerfs. I'm definitely not going to be first picking him anymore. Shadow Shaman. Ward no longer does 50% extra damage against Roche. And it has a worse base attack time. You can no longer like Roche with Shadow Shaman plus one other hero. That's good. I mean, it'll still help with Roche, but it's not going to be nearly as good. Base strength by 1. Dude, Silencer, man. I feel like Silencer was only picked because of Dawnbreaker. Like, he was a hard counter to Dawn, and that's it. So he's catching some strays, for sure. That's a stray. Skywrath Mage. Aghanim Shard number of bolts increased from 2 to 3. That's actually kind of hype. Wait, so what's his Ag Shard do? Is it just that? When Skywrath Mage casts Arcane Bolt, 3 bolts are created, one aimed at the original target and the other at a random enemy within 500 range of the original target. Didn't it used to be, or is that his innate? Didn't he used to have it where he got like int and armor? I guess they just made it so you get an extra Arcane Bolt. This is pretty good though. That's pretty hype. That's actually really good. Helps him farm as well. Team fight impact, farming. Wait, so what's his Aghanims then do? Oh, so Aghanims just doesn't upgrade your shard. Didn't Aghanims used to give you 2 Arcane Bolts as well? I don't know. This hero's been off meta for so long. I think it used to be his Ags, then they made it his talent, and then they made it his shard. So honestly, pretty good shard though. Helps with farm, helps with fighting. Might even make him a decent mid. Probably not, because usually mids need some way of surviving or scaling survivability wise. And Skywrath Mage has never had that. Snapfire. Fire Snap. I do think he'll be a good 4 though, to be honest. Snapfire. Fire Snap Cookie by 3, 2, 1 blast off seconds per level. Mortimer's Kisses. Cool duration increased. Small buffs to Snap. Might see her. She's always been one of those are the numbers high enough kind of heroes because she doesn't have like a specific thing that her kit does, but she has a lot of impact in her spells, right? Her Shredder's really nice in lane. Her Q is really nice, harass. Her Cookie's a nice like pseudo save, follow-up stun. And Mortimer's is a lot of damage. Fearbreaker by 3 base damage. I might be trying him 3 or 4. Specifically maybe 3 because of this. The Blade Mail nerfs make it so like he wasn't a Blade Mail buyer. I might try some Spearbreaker 3. Maybe just Spearbreaker 4 with boots. Like you just go the boots build and right-click people. You have an extra 3 damage. That adds up a lot. Intelligence by 0.2. Templar Assassin getting the Pangolier treatment where she's just consistently nerfed. So lost 2.5 base damage. Meld Bash nerfed as well. Dude, TA has to suck by now. Like, she has to be bad. Look at these change logs. Nerf, 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 nerf. And this is when she got buffed into relevance and then just nerfs galore. The Keen Conveyance, cooldown by 30 seconds. So if Tinker is effectively silenced for 50 seconds, or he forgets to press this button, or he is stuck in the trees, he is artesied, he is cliffed on the cliff, he can now TP home 30 seconds earlier, meaning he also doesn't have enough mana to cast the rearm. That's very pog. Treant Protector, damage per second increased by 10. This is pretty minor. Pretty minor. This is significant. How much damage does Decay do now? Because it's irrelevant. It's relevant if it no longer one-shots range creeps, because that would help him farm a lot. 30 extra damage, so it's 170 doubled. So it's still 340. So you'll still one-shot range creeps. So probably not a huge deal. You still take the talent for sure. Ursa receiving a little bit of a nerf on his damage. Aghanim Shard and Rage nerfed again. I think Ursa's still going to be strong. I think he's been like a solid high B, low A tier carry for some time now. Vengeful Spirit, I'd say this is about a net neutral change. Slightly less agility, more base damage. Minimum DPS on Nether Toxin increased. I don't know how big of a deal that is. Wraith King has been nerfed again. I feel like Wraith King was already pretty bad, but maybe he was plaguing low MMR pubs or something. And then Zeus with an extra 75 range on his Heavenly Jump level 1. Very hype. Overall, small changes to the patch. I know we just got done reviewing everybody, but for me, the biggest takeaways are the items. I kind of said it at the start. The Blade Mail change, I think, is quite significant. It's not going to be as spammable. It's not going to be as strong, even for the heroes that will still buy it. I'm looking at PL with this Maelstrom nerf. I'm looking at Radiant Spires in the carrier role still being good. I'm looking at Illusion Heroes stonks going up, and I'm looking at heroes that were previously countered by Blade Mail perhaps coming more into the meta. Heroes that like were ranged and kept their distance, you know? Something like Luna. Undying. I'm making a freaking video here, dude. Something like Luna, who like would use Eclipse and get blade mailed. Heroes like Drow, who would be sitting in the back and get blade mailed. These are heroes that I think will become better due to these nerfs on these popular items. Yeah, Undying. I know they got nerfed by 10 attack range, but I don't think that's really that big of a deal. I'm going to be keeping an eye out for the meta changes. Like I said, we're back in action making content. So I'll be keeping you guys posted on what the meta updates are as things progress.